I played a banned horror game at 2 a.m. Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Spooky Tales, I said, adjusting the mic and checking my OBS stream settings one final time. It was nearly 2 a.m., and the glow from my dual monitors was the only light in the room. A storm had rolled in just past midnight, and thunder rumbled softly in the background, the perfect vibe, honestly, for what I had planned. Tonight's stream is going to be, well, something different, I continued, trying to hide the nervous edge in my voice. A few days ago, someone anonymously emailed me a game file, no name, no title screen, no instructions. Just the words, play at 2 a.m. Do not quit. I paused, scanning the live chat. The usual crowd was there. Usernames like XSigoSlurkerXX, Creepcore420, and Rainy Night 99 flying by with laughing emojis and sarcastic predictions. I couldn't blame them. I had streamed hundreds of indie horror games before, most of them laughably bad, but this one? Something about it had me on edge from the start. The email came from an untraceable address. The file was encrypted and only unlocked with the password 3N1TY. The more I dug into it, the weirder it got. A couple of obscure forums claimed the game had been banned, that it learned from you, whatever that meant. One Reddit thread even claimed it was used in dark web experiments. Of course, that could have all been LARPing nonsense. But here I was. The clock on my desk hit 2 a.m. exactly. Thunder cracked loud enough to make me flinch, but I forced a grin and double-clicked the executable file labeled X. My screen went black for a full 10 seconds. No startup screen, no developer logo, no intro music. Then suddenly, a flickering pixelated image appeared, a narrow hallway, dimly lit, stretching into darkness. A soft ambient hum came through my headphones, more like a mechanical whine than music. There were no menu options, just a blinking I hit the spacebar. The screen jolted. My view locked into a first-person perspective, low-res and gritty, like something built in the late 90s. The character breathed heavily, almost too realistically. Every inhale felt like it was piped straight from a real microphone, and it gave the impression that the character, or something else, was standing right behind me. The hallway led to a single door with peeling white paint. As I approached, chat started lighting up. Dude, this looks cursed already. Why does the breathing sound like it's in your room? Play it till the end, or you're a coward, LOL. I laughed nervously and said, Okay, let's do this. Then clicked on the door. It creaked open with an uncomfortably long groan. Inside was a room with plain wallpaper, a rocking chair, and an old TV set. But here's the thing, it looked just like the spare room in my house. I froze. The way the TV sat at an angle, the exact same chair, even the small burn mark on the rug in the corner, it was identical to the room down the hall from me. Okay, that's messed up, I muttered. Is this like AI scraping from my photos or something? But I'd never uploaded a photo of that room anywhere. Ever. My audience seemed split between thinking it was a joke or freaking out. Bro, that's your house, isn't it? Wait, didn't you show us that chair in your Halloween stream last year? Turn off the game now. The character moved on its own for a second, walking toward the TV. Static flickered across the screen, and then, suddenly, the game glitched and showed a blurry image of me sitting in front of my monitor. Not the in-game character. Me. Same shirt, same messy hair, same room. I whipped around to see if someone was behind me. Nothing. My camera light was on, so maybe it glitched. But the image wasn't my webcam. It was a different angle, like someone watching from just outside the window. I went quiet. Chat noticed. Yo, WTF was that? Nah, this is fake, right? Safe, don't move. There was a shadow behind you. I didn't want to admit it, but I'd seen it too, a faint reflection in the monitor, a flicker of movement behind me that didn't come from my own body. I minimized the game, grabbed my phone, and checked the camera feed from my smart doorbell and indoor cams. All clear. No alerts. Everything looked normal. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. My hands were cold and clammy. The wind howled louder outside, rattling the window panes. "All right," I said shakily. "That was probably just a well-timed freakout. Let's keep going." I maximized the game again. But the hallway was gone. Now, the in-game screen showed my bedroom, or more accurately, a distorted version of it. The layout matched perfectly, but everything was off. The walls looked decayed, the furniture was rotting, and the ceiling fan spun wildly with no sound. On the bed, there was a figure lying still, motionless, facing the ceiling. I tried to move the character away, but my keyboard didn't respond. The in-game view slowly zoomed in toward the bed. Chat was losing it. "Get out of the game." The thing on the bed moved. OMG. This is not a game anymore. As the camera zoomed closer, I saw it. The figure on the bed. It was me. Same hoodie. Same posture. Eyes wide open. But the skin was pale, waxy, like a mannequin. And its mouth was slowly, very slowly, stretching open, wider than humanly possible. The screen cut to black. The moment those blood-red words, "You're not alone," vanished from the screen, something changed in the room. I'm not talking about just in-game. I mean my actual streaming room. The air got heavier, thicker somehow, like trying to breathe underwater. I looked around, suddenly hyper-aware of every shadow in the corners, every creak of the house settling. I even took my headphones off for a second just to make sure the sounds I was hearing were in the game. But no. The soft tapping? That was definitely real. It was coming from the hallway behind my closed door. "Okay, hold up," I said, trying to sound calm for the stream. "Either someone's messing with me, or this game is pulling some really messed up tricks." But the chat wasn't laughing anymore. People had stopped spamming emojis. Comments slowed down and turned serious. "Why is your door moving? Dude, I think someone is in your house. Go check that hallway. For real. This ain't funny anymore." I glanced at the stream window. My webcam showed me, sitting at my desk, face pale, eyes darting to the door behind me. And sure enough, it was cracked open now. Just a few inches. I know I closed it before the stream. I always do. "Okay, hold on," I muttered and got up slowly, muting my mic. I grabbed the metal flashlight I kept under my desk, a habit from past power outages, and crept toward the hallway. The floorboards under my feet felt colder than usual. As I reached the door and swung it open wider, the beam of the flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing nothing. Just the hallway. Empty. Except the spare room door at the end of the hall was open. That room. The one from the game. I didn't remember opening that door. I hadn't even been in there since I stored old boxes and furniture last spring. My flashlight beam shook slightly as I aimed it into the room. The rocking chair, the same one I saw in the game, was slowly moving back and forth, like someone had just gotten up from it. No wind. No vibration. No possible reason. I backed up, shut the hallway door again, and returned to my desk, heart racing. My mic was still muted, but the chat had exploded. "We saw that chair move, bro. Get out of the house. This is not a game. This is not a game." I looked it up. That game is linked to people disappearing. I unmuted the mic and tried to speak, but my voice cracked. "Guys, I think this game is doing something. Like, really messing with reality. I'm gonna uninstall it, okay? Just shut it down." I clicked out of the game window, but it didn't close. Instead, a new message popped up. "You agreed to the rules. Do not quit." Below that, "Continue. Accept consequences." There was no exit button. No Alt plus F4. Not even Task Manager could shut it down. I tried. The game was locked to the screen, and somehow my webcam was no longer showing me. It was showing the hallway behind me, in real time, as if the game had hijacked my camera and flipped it. And there, in the hallway feed, was movement. Slow, crawling, pale fingers reaching along the hardwood floor, just slipping into frame. I turned around instantly. Nothing. The hallway door was shut. Silence. But on the screen, in the game, those fingers were getting closer. Okay, I'm done, I whispered, truly terrified now. I'm pulling the plug. I yanked the power cord from my PC tower. The monitors went dark. The fans stopped spinning. The stream ended. But my screen didn't turn off. The game was still running. It was like the computer was still alive, independent of the power. The image glowed faintly, the hallway, and the words slowly appearing in handwritten white font, one by one. You can turn off the screen, but not the eyes watching through it. And then I heard a voice, but not through my headphones, not through speakers. It was behind me, soft, raspy, barely more than a whisper. Turn around. I froze. My entire body locked up like I was made of stone. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. Everything in me screamed, don't look. Every horror movie I ever mocked for, why did they turn around? I finally understood. But curiosity, fear, and something else, something pulling at my thoughts, made me do it anyway. I turned my head slightly and saw a face pressed flat against the inside of my monitor. Eyes wide, skin cracked like porcelain, a crooked smile stretching far too wide, lips curling over impossibly sharp teeth. It wasn't moving, it was just watching, like it was studying my reaction, feeding off of it. I screamed and stumbled back, knocking over my chair. The monitor flickered, then finally turned off, plunging the room into darkness. But in that brief second before blackness swallowed everything, I saw the reflection in the blank screen, not of me standing there, of it, standing behind me. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. After the monitor finally powered off, I yanked every plug from the wall and just stood there, heart hammering, watching the shadows like they might move again. I tried convincing myself it was a hallucination, sleep deprivation, or maybe some elaborate ARG. But deep down, I knew better. I saw that thing. I felt its presence in the room, the way the air shifted, the way my skin bristled as if a cold, damp breath passed behind my ear. That wasn't a game mechanic. That wasn't software. That was something else. By sunrise, the storm had passed. My house felt quiet again. Too quiet. I wandered from room to room, half expecting to find signs, footprints, scratches, anything that could confirm I hadn't completely lost it. But there was nothing. Everything looked normal. Still, the game had left something behind, something I couldn't shake. The hallway still felt darker than usual. The rocking chair in the spare room was completely still now, but I could have sworn it had moved again when I passed by. I didn't dare go inside. I just closed the door and locked it. I thought about telling someone, the police maybe, but what would I even say? Hey, I played a haunted video game, and now I think something followed me through my screen? Yeah, no thanks. Besides, my audience was already spiraling. The stream VOD had been corrupted. Twitch wouldn't even let me access the file. My entire stream history showed the video as unavailable due to violation of terms. People were deeming me non-stop, asking what had happened, some begging me to upload the file elsewhere. A few even claimed they'd seen something in the background of the stream, a face in the shadows, an eye peeking from the closet. Later that day, I checked my email again. I don't know why. I hadn't touched it since receiving the game file. But when I opened my inbox, there was a new message, same sender, and then once I had drawn it, no subject, No greeting. Just a single sentence. You broke the rule. Now we'll play in your world. Attached was an image file. GPG. I didn't open it. I deleted it immediately. Emptied the trash. Then deleted the entire email account. I was done. Done with streaming. Done with horror games. Done pretending I was brave enough to mess with things I didn't understand. For the rest of that day, I tried to live normally, made food, took a walk, avoided every screen in my house. But something followed me. I could feel it. Every time I passed a mirror or a blacked out window, I saw a flicker. Not my reflection. It wasn't fully there, not yet. But I could feel the line between the game world and the real one stretching thinner. Like the longer I ignored it, the closer it got. And that night, it crossed over. That night, I made the mistake of turning my phone back on. I hadn't used it all day, convinced staying away from screens would help keep whatever it was at bay. But around 11 p.m., paranoia crept in like a fog. I wanted to check if anyone else online had experienced what I had, if this cursed game had infected more than just me. The phone powered up, and immediately, the screen glitched. The wallpaper flickered, showing something beneath the surface. For just a second, a blurred image of my bedroom, except darker, with something slouched in the corner. I blinked and it vanished. My lock screen returned to normal. I thought maybe I was just tired. I opened Reddit and typed in, banned horror game known on the home. X experiences. The results were sparse. Mostly creepypasta level threads. People speculating about a game that used machine learning, about players who'd gone missing, streams that never ended. But one post, buried deep, chilled me to my bones. It was a screenshot of the same message I received. You broke the rule. Now we'll play in your world. The post had 0 comments. The account that posted it was deleted. And worst of all, the timestamp said it was posted 5 minutes ago. I stared at it, heart pounding. Then the screen turned black again, just like my monitor had. Except this time, it wasn't the game. My phone's flashlight turned on by itself, illuminating my face. Then the camera launched, showing the front-facing view, and standing directly behind me was a silhouette, tall and rigid, unmoving, though I couldn't feel its presence. I didn't turn around this time. I dropped the phone and backed out of the room, slamming the door shut. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I kept every light on in the house, checking each window, each closet, like a man possessed. But nothing was there. No figure. No sound. Only the oppressive feeling that something was waiting just beyond the veil of what I could see, like a predator sitting quietly in tall grass. At 2 a.m., my living room TV powered on by itself. No input. No controller, just a buzzing blue screen with faint static lines. I approached slowly, holding the remote like it was a weapon. Then, pixel by pixel, the static morphed into an image. It was my front door. Not a security cam feed, just a single, eerily still picture. As I stared, I noticed something in the corner of the image. A long, pale hand, resting against the edge of the frame, as though the figure was just out of view, waiting to knock. I turned and looked at the real front door. Nothing. But when I turned back to the TV, the image had changed. Now it showed the hallway. Then my kitchen. Then my bedroom. It was cycling through my home, frame by frame, mapping it out in real time. It was inside. I unplugged the TV, but it stayed on. I pulled the entire power strip from the wall. Still on. The screen shifted to black once again, and this time a countdown began, in red, flickering digits. 0 hours, 1 minute, 13 seconds. I didn't know what it meant, but I ran. Out of the house, barefoot, into the street, heart hammering as the countdown echoed in my mind. I didn't stop running until I reached the gas station a few blocks away. I begged the night clerk to let me use their landline, called a friend. stayed the night. But even then, in the darkness of a stranger's guest room, with no electronics, no screens, no devices, I swear I heard my name being whispered through the walls. And I knew deep down, the game wasn't over. It's been 3 weeks since I played that cursed game, and nothing is the same anymore. I moved out of my house, got rid of every screen I owned, monitors, phones, even the microwave with a digital clock. But it doesn't matter. It still finds ways to reach me. In reflections. In shadows. Sometimes, late at night, I hear the beep of something powering on in the next room. Even when there's nothing plugged in. I've started seeing flashes of that hallway again, not just in dreams, but in places it shouldn't be. The reflection in a spoon, the flicker of a broken light bulb, the static on someone's TV at a diner. And worst of all, the countdown has returned. On walls. On paper. In whispered seconds ticking down beside my ear when I'm alone. It always restarts at 2 a.m. every night. And now I realize the game wasn't meant to be played. It was meant to be released. Through the screen, into the world. Into our minds. And if you've watched this video to the end, maybe it's reached you too. Has anything like this ever happened to you? Have you ever played a game, used an app, or watched something online that just didn't feel right, like it knew too much about you? If you've had a strange, terrifying, or unexplained experience like this, tell us in the comments. Maybe your story is the next one we'll feature. Thanks for watching Spooky Tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and never look at the screen after 2 a.m.